Good day everyone. Today, I will be discussing File Transfer Protocol or FTP. We will cover what it is, how it works, its advantages and disadvantages, and security issues. So what exactly is FTP? FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. It is one of the oldest methods of transferring files over the internet. It allows users to send, receive, and manage files between their computer, which we call a client, and a remote server. Imagine you need to upload a website or transfer large files to another system. FTP makes that possible. It follows a client-server model, which means one computer or the client requests a file, and another computer or the server provides it. FTP is still widely used today, especially in web hosting and IT operations. FTP has been around for a long time. It was first created in 1971 by a man named Abhay Bhushan as part of ARPANET, which was the early version of the internet. Back then, the main purpose of FTP was to share files between different computers. In the 1980s, FTP became part of the standard internet protocols, and by the 1990s, secure versions like SFTP and FTPS were developed. Even today, FTP remains an important tool, but it has been improved with more security measures. Now let's talk about how FTP actually works. FTP follows a step-by-step process. First, the client, which is usually a computer, requests to connect to an FTP server. Second, the server then checks if the client is allowed to access it. Some FTP servers require username and password, while others allow anonymous access. Once the connection is established, the client can start uploading or downloading files. The transfer happens through specific ports, which is port 20 for data and port 21 for control commands. There are also two modes of FTP, the active mode and the passive mode. In active mode, the server initiates the connection, which works well unless there's a firewall blocking it. In passive mode, the client takes full control of the connection, making it easier to work around firewalls. Take a look at this diagram, which illustrates how FTP works using TCP ports 20 and 21. Port 21, or the control connection, this is where the client and server communicate by sending commands and responses. Think of it like making a phone call where you tell someone what you want to do, such as listing files or requesting a download. Port 20, or the data connection, this is used for transferring actual files. Once the client and server agree on a transfer, the data flows through this port. Common FTP commands. If you've ever used the command line interface, FTP has some basic commands that allow users to interact with the server. Here are some few examples. We have get. This is used to download a file from the server. We also have put, which allows you to upload a file, and delete, which removes a file from the server. Most people don't manually type these commands anymore because modern FTP clients have a graphical interface, but for advanced users, knowing these commands can be very useful. Types of FTP connections. FTP connections can be set up in different ways. First, we have anonymous FTP, which allows users to access files without the username or password. Second, we have authenticated FTP, which requires a username and password, making it more secure. Third, we have the active versus passive FTP. As I mentioned earlier, active mode lets the server initiate connections, while passive mode is better when firewalls block incoming connections. FTP clients and software. To use FTP, you need an FTP client. These are programs that allow you to easily transfer files without needing to type commands. Some of the most popular FTP clients include FileZilla, a free and open source FTP client that's widely used. We also have LensCP, which supports secure FTP transfer using SFTP and FTPS. We also have a CyberDuck, a simple FTP client that also works with cloud storage. And lastly, we have command line FTP, an advanced users can use the built-in FTP functionality on Windows, Mac, and Linux. FTP has its pros and cons. Advantages: it is efficient for large file transfer and can resume downloads if interrupted. It is widely supported across different operating systems, and it is useful for website hosting and managing online files. Disadvantages: standard FTP doesn't have encryption, meaning data can be intercepted. It isn't user-friendly for beginners since it often requires technical knowledge. It is also slower compared to modern cloud storage solutions. Alternative secure FTP protocols. To fix FTP security flaws, other protocols were developed. SFTP or Secure FTP, which uses SSH encryption to protect data. FTPS or FTP Secure, which uses SSL or TLS encryption to add security. HTTPS, or some organizations use secure web-based file transfer instead of FTP. So to summarize, FTP is an essential file transfer protocol that enables file sharing between devices and servers. It works using a client-server model and operates over TCP ports 20 and 21. Standard FTP is not secure, so SFTP and FTPS are recommended for sensitive data. FTP remains widely used for website management, file storage, and IT operations despite modern alternatives like cloud storage. So that wraps up my report on FTP. Thank you for listening.